Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you've had a go at the remaining questions, and I've got some hints and the answers for you in this document here, which I will share with you on the Google Classroom. Just to give you a hint for each of them, just so that if you have struggled with them at all, it'll give you an idea of where to start in looking for the pattern. If you look at practice exercise 17, this is all to do with arrows and curved versus straight edges. So there are arrows in the corner of each of the squares in set A and set B. Whether those arrows are pointing downwards, upwards, or a mixture of both is related to whether the shapes have got curved or straight edges. So if you take a look at set A, you'll see two downward arrows mean that all the objects apart from the two arrows and the circle, which is always diagonally opposite to it, so there is always a diagonal circle, so we don't count that circle. That isn't part of the exercise, it's almost a distractor item. It's to do with the remaining objects. If the arrows point upwards, all of those remaining objects, so I'll just highlight those in blue, have got straight edges. If the arrows point downwards, they've only got curved edges, like this one here. And if they obviously go up and down, there's a mixture of both, and you can spot a similar pattern but mirrored in set B. In exercise 18, we have got counting edges as the difference here, where if you count the edges, they add up to 16, counting the black as double in set A, and 20 counting the white as double in set B. In exercise 19, this is to do with angles. So the big black object is the key object, and the number of diamonds in set A relates to the number of right angles. Grey objects don't have right angles, so they're not included in the number of diamonds. On the right hand side, we've got a mirrored relationship where the black objects don't have right angles, so this time the diamonds relate to angles that are not right angles, and the grey objects contain right angles. In exercise 20, the arrow is pointing to the grey object in the left hand side in set A, and the arrow is pointing towards the black object in set B. If the arrow is pointing upwards and it is white, that means that black is on top in set A. A white arrow pointing downwards means black is on top in set B. And if it's a hatched arrow, neither of them appear on top, but they follow the rules of pointing towards the grey object for set A and the black object for set B. In number 21, on the left hand side in set A, the black object has 4 fewer sides than the white object, so black plus 4 equals white sides. And in the set B, black minus 2 equals the white sides. I found number 22 really tricky. I struggled with this one, I have to be honest. So this one has an arrow in the corner, so you can all immediately rule out shape 22.5 at the bottom, which is useful. And then the colour of the triangle means whether or not the circles are touching, separate or intersecting. So a white triangle means they're touching, a grey triangle means they're intersecting, and a hatched triangle means they're separate. So I got that far without too much difficulty, but then I really struggled with what the arrows were meaning. So the arrows in the set A, the arrow never points to the edge that the triangle is on. So I've put the triangle edge in green there so that you can see the arrow never points towards that green line. And in set B, one of the arrows always points towards the edge with the triangle on it, which I've illustrated this time in blue. So I thought the triangle bit, in terms of the edge and the arrow was quite a tricky one, because actually there are some times on the left hand side where it's pointing at the triangle. It's just not pointing at the edge that has the triangle on, which is just really strange. Okay, so let's look at the next one, 23. This was a lot more straightforward after the last one, almost a bit of a relief really. The black object equals the number of arrowheads, and the white object equals the number of straight lines on the left hand side in set A. Couple more similar rules in set B. The black and white this time, however, are separated by that line, so you've got black on one side, white on the other, and the black is equal to the arrowheads. In other words, like in this one here, 2 arrowheads, 2 blacks, but the white is now equal to the lines plus 1, and that one gets you there. Number 24, there's a key object. So just to take a look from a distance, there's a large black object in each one. That's going to be a key object. The other objects are the number of sides that that object has. And they're always even on set A, and they're always odd on set B. The white objects that are accompanying it means that it's the number of non-right angles in the key object. The grey objects are the number of right angles in the key object, and it's the other way around in set B. In 25, the arrow is dictating what is happening to the shapes that are in the box with it. So if you've got a white arrow in set A, then the shape is the same colour and the same size. The direction of the arrow indicates a rotation, so if the arrow is pointing back on itself as a U-turn, that's 180 degrees. If it's pointing to the side, it's a 90-degree rotation. If the arrow is black, then that's going to turn the top object black. If the arrow is striped, that's going to turn the top object small. And there's a similar but mirrored set of relationships in the right hand side, where the white object the white arrow is going to be changing the size of the object. And the black arrow is again pointing to making the top object black, and the striped arrow is keeping them the same. In practice exercise 26, we've got dominoes. On set A, the total number of dots in the white domino always exceeds the total number of dots in the black domino, and the top of the domino is always bigger than the bottom. And it's the other way around in set B, where the black is always bigger than the white and the bottom is always bigger than the top. Okay, so that brings us on to the different type of exercise now, which is just which one comes next. Now these are shorter exercises. You should be taking approximately half a minute on these ones. A few strategies with these ones: just because you're looking sequentially, look for patterns, particularly objects. What happens, for example, to the triangle as you go from the left to the right? What happens to it? Does it move around clockwise? Does it move around anti-clockwise? Does it go up or down? Does it change colour? Does it rotate? So move sequentially with each object and see if you can spot a pattern with each object. Can you see an overall change? So if you just glance at 29 there, you can probably see straight away you've got a white, black rotation of colours one after another. So a few strategies that you can use with these, and hopefully looking at a few of the questions will help. Start with 27, I'll give you 30 seconds and then I'll go through how to approach it. and stop. Hopefully you've noticed that there's a bit of a zigzag with the circles, so you'd expect the next circle to be up top, so it can't be either of those two. And then if we look at the triangle, we can see the triangle is moving anti-clockwise, so it's moving along there, then up there, and this way. So the triangle is going to be bottom left, and it's changing colour, so it's going grey, black, grey, black. So we need a grey triangle, so that's B. Let's look at practice exercise 28, and your 30 seconds start now. And stop. Okay, now hopefully what you can see here is that these circles are rotating, so the one from the front moves to the back and all of them move down, and then the one from the front moves to the back and all of them move down. The one from the front moves to the back. This one, therefore, that one's going to disappear because it's going to move to the back, so we need to have, looking from bottom right up to top left, we need to have black, white, black, black, white, white, black. So black, white, black, black, white, white, black applies to A and D. So next we have to look at the Morse code symbols, and how those determine the white versus the black dots, the relationships between the white and the black dots. So if you have a look at the examples, you'll see that it represents the black dots. So if I just change colour pen to try and illustrate it for you. Where's my pens gone? There they are. So here we've got short, long, short corresponds to the black, and then the white is the one underneath. I get the red pen, which is short, long. So if we have a look at the one that we've got, it needs to match. So the black should be short, long, short, and the white should be long, short, and that corresponds to D. So D is the correct answer. Let's have a look at 29. So you've got your 30 seconds starting now. And stop. So here the objects, as I mentioned right at the start, are alternating white, black to the centre object. So I can rule out D because that has a black central object. The next thing I notice is that the number of sides that the outer object has is following a pattern: 1, 3, 5, 7. The inner object is following a pattern: 5, 4, 3, 2. So the object that I've got is going to have an outer object with 9 sides and an inner object with 1 side. It can therefore only be A. Practice question 30. 30 seconds starting now. and stop. So with this one we have a growing snake. So the first one to the second one adds 2 squares. The second one to the third one adds 1, 2, 3 squares. The third one to the fourth one, 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. Now we're going to have to add on 5 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to look for that pattern at the bottom, and that is C. Next one, let's have a look at 31. 30 seconds starting now. And stop. So what we can see here is that our dots are moving. So this one is moving along. So we've got that one is now here, and we've added some onto it. And then it's carrying on, and it's moving all the way around. So you can see there is where it is. And then it's moving all the way around and back in again. So let's have a look at the pattern. Well, we've got 1 black dot, 2 white dots, 3 black dots, 4 white dots, 5 black dots must come next after those 4 white dots. We've got to have 5 black dots. And then we're going to be on to 6 white dots. But we didn't quite get all of our black dots in this one, because we're only adding a certain number each time. So the number that we've got to add on this time is in the next frame we've got more black dots and 2 white dots. So it's quite a tricky one, is this, because we've got a pattern, but we're chopping the pattern up as we're going round. So to get all the correct number of dots in, we're going to end up with pattern B. That is quite a tricky one actually, because the way it curls in on itself to get the remaining dots in is not obvious. So that one is quite tricky, but that's going to be pattern B. Just think about how it's got a pattern of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to have 1 black, 2 white, 3 black, 4 white, 5 black, 6 white, but it's not adding them in those numbers. It's just adding another 3 on each time. Next question is practice question 32. So I'll give you 30 seconds. Time starts now. And stop. So the answer for this one is it's to do with these circles are moving. So let's work out how they are moving, the black ones. So we're moving from this one, it's moving along. Sorry, this is going beyond the 4 minutes. I That's right. I'm trying to rotate the triangles, but the triangles are not rotating. That's a really tricky one. Okie doke. So what is happening here is they're actually the dots. I was trying to rotate triangles and it wasn't working. So I'm just going to explain to you what I was trying to do. I was trying to take these triangles and I was trying to rotate them to get where the next rotation must be. And I wasn't getting the right answer. In the sense that I wasn't getting any of the 4 answers at the bottom. So it was going to have to be possibly B, but not looking particularly right for any particular reason, or possibly D, but again not looking particularly right, but that's not what it's doing. So here, let's look at what it's doing. This is probably the trickiest one of these ones I've seen in a while, just because it foxes you. You think you're looking at triangles, but you're not. You're looking at where the black dots are moving. So this black dot is moving horizontally 1 space along. This black dot is moving 1 space along, which brings it down to the next row down. So it's moving from that row to that row. This one is moving 1 space along, and that's giving you this position here. Okay, so they've all moved by 1. In the next image, they've all moved by 2. This one has moved 2, so it's gone from the bottom to the top and along 1 to arrive at that space. So this one, I'm going to colour them like this now. This blue one has become this blue one here. It's moved from the bottom to the top. This green one has become this green one here. So it's moved 1, 2 along. And this black one here, this yellow one, has moved 1, 2 to end up in this position here. So they're going to move 3 places to get to the next location. So the green one is going to move 3 places along to become this one. The yellow one is going to move 3 places along to become this one. And the blue one is going to come 3 places to become this one. And so next time they're going to move 4 places along. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to put the green one in this position here. So I've got my answer, but I'm going to follow it through with the yellow one is going to move 4 places. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is, sorry, didn't get my yellow. It's that position there. And the blue one, 1, 2, 3, 4 is, I've drawn it yellow, sorry, that position there. So it's actually C. That was a tricky one. Okie doke. So from here, since I haven't really covered myself in glory with that one, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to go through, I think you've probably got the idea, go through the remaining type 2 exercises. So there's 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, all the way through to, there we go, so up to practice exercise 53.